It was a bitter January morning when my wife's mother, Margold Lennox, zipped up my duffel bag with a smirk. "You're not fit for this family," she sneered, her jeweled fingers brushing imaginary dust off her cashmere sleeves. "Della deserves better than a nobody from nowhere." I felt my jaw clench as her words stabbed at me, but I didn't flinch. Instead, I inhaled the cold air, letting it remind me that life continued beyond this mansion's gilded walls. I had just been laid off after 9 years in logistics engineering, and that blow still felt fresh, raw. Margold's disdain hit differently. Like a final nail sealing the coffin of whatever pride I'd managed to salvage since learning the company had let me go. I took a slow breath, steadying myself. I would not allow her to see me unravel. My wife Della stood at the door in a silk robe that pulled at her feet, laughing as though she were watching some private comedy. "Enjoy your life," she said, her tone dripping with malice. That laugh. That casual cruelty. It made something inside me snap into clarity. I had carried her student loans for years, worked late nights to build a future for us, only to be discarded at the first sign of weakness. "I will," I said softly, keeping my voice calm. They had no idea what I had been nursing in secret. My Project Navicite, an engine that predicted shipment delays before they happened, calculating alternate routes, saving carriers thousands. My eyes lifted to hers, and I thought I saw a flicker of something. Regret? No, I doubted it. It was more likely surprise, as if my calm response threw her off guard. Beneath the surface, though, a fire lit inside me. Decision. They would regret underestimating me. Margold's eyes narrowed, the crease in her brow deepening. "Get out," she ordered, and I obeyed. My fingers closed around the leather handle of the duffel as I walked past Della without a backward glance. The front door slammed behind me, echoing like a verdict in the grand foyer. I stood on the frosty driveway, gravel crunching under my boots, watching their silhouettes fade into the foyer's warm light. The mansion behind me was imposing. Snow-covered hedges, iron gates, stone columns that promised security and status. For years, I'd felt like an imposter, pretending to be the beautiful husband in this world of wealth and privilege while hiding my ambitions beneath a facade. Now, as the door closed behind me, I realized that facade was gone. My isolation felt more like liberation. Every breath of icy air stripped away layers of doubt and shame. I adjusted the strap of the duffel and stepped onto the sidewalk. Cold wind delivered a sharp sting to my cheeks, reminding me that I belonged to the street now, not that place of entitlement. As I walked away, memories flooded my mind. The morning I proposed to Della, her bright smile when I pulled her aside in Bowman Park, the nights in our tiny apartment huddled over laptops, me coding predictive algorithms, while she graded papers for her tutoring students. They never asked about those nights. They only saw a man without pedigree, someone beneath their expectations. I pressed on, each step away from the Lennox world, allowing me to claim a version of myself they'd never known. The city around me felt different through fresh eyes, storefronts gleaming with new signage, early morning commuters shuffling along sidewalks, the promise of commerce humming beneath every pane of glass. I inhaled again, tasting freedom. My phone buzzed in my pocket, jolting me from reflection. Kylie's number flashed on the screen. "Where are you? Call me, my sister, always my rock." The one person whose faith in me never wavered. I slid my thumb to answer. Her voice came through on the second ring, laced with concern. "Ben, are you okay? I'm at the Lennox place. They kicked me out," I admitted, my voice barely more than a whisper. Silence crackled through the line. Then her gentle exhale. "Stay there. I'll come get you." Relief flooded me, so potent I had to lean against a parked car to steady myself. "Okay," I managed. She hung up, leaving me with the echo of her promise, "I'll come get you." Finding edge cases that forced the model to adapt. And I lived in the code. My fingers dancing over the keyboard like they were born for it. Every success felt like a punch at the people who'd written me off. Every breakthrough was a reminder that I was more than the man who'd been pushed out of a mansion. I was the man rewriting the rules they'd clung to for generations. Late one night, after everyone else had gone home, I sat alone at my desk, staring at the latest. Simulation results. Navisite wasn't just working. It was thriving. Cost savings that had once been theoretical were now proven, documented, undeniable. Route efficiency improvements of over 35%. Predictions of port closures that matched real-world events down to the hour. I leaned back in, my chair, exhaustion settling into my bones. But there was a smile on my face I couldn't shake. The Linuxes would never see it coming. And that was the best part, because they'd never even asked what I was doing. They'd laughed at my ambition, scoffed at my long hours, written me off as a distraction in their glossy lives. Now, I was the distraction. Now, I was the disruption. Closed my laptop, feeling the weight of every line of code I'd written. Every night alone at the kitchen table, every whispered conversation with Kay, every moment I'd fought the voice in my head that asked if I was good enough. I was. We were, and the freight world was about to learn what it meant. To underestimate the wrong man. 2 months later, I saw my name on a Forbes tech blog headline, "Unknown Engineer Launches Disruptive Freight Startup." The screen glowed bright in the co-working space, casting a halo over my worn keyboard. Heart stuttered. For a second, I thought maybe I'd misread it. But there it was. My name, spelled out in bold type, followed by a summary that captured the essence of everything I'd been working for. Navisite, the predictive logistics engine, was turning heads. I read it 3 times. Each word made my chest tighten with a mix of pride and disbelief. Kay's eyes went wide when I showed her. She let out a whistle, her grin so bright it felt like a sunrise. "Framed," she declared. And she meant it. The article was printed and pinned above my desk that very night. Then came the text from Della. Short, sharp, as cold as her mother's voice had been when she zipped my duffel. "Is this a joke?" I stared at the message. An odd, sort of calm spread through me. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The Linuxes had always believed I was a sideshow in their grand legacy, a name on an invitation list, a tag-along husband. But now, my name was in headlines they couldn't control. It was my name, my system, and I knew it stung. Marigold's message came next. As predictable as a sunrise, but twice as bitter. Using our name for cloud. Classless. I could practically hear her voice. That condescending drawl dripping with disdain. I'd expected no less. They'd spent years crafting an image, a story about Linux freight that never included me as anything but a footnote. Let the phone screen fade to black. Their arrogance, their pettiness. It didn't deserve a reply. Navisite was the reply. Every investor meeting Rena set up, every new client that signed a contract, every line of code that ran without error was a reply. Rena called that afternoon. Her voice buzzed with energy. 2 of Linux Freight's top competitors just reached out, she said. They're interested, seriously interested. I leaned back in my chair, the hum of the co-working space fading into a hush of possibility. They want Navisite? I asked, more for confirmation than curiosity. They want Navisite, she repeated. Her smile was evident in her tone. They want to talk licensing, maybe even exclusive partnerships. A slow grin spread across my face. Let's set up the meetings, I said. My voice sounded steadier than I felt, but inside I was vibrating with a satisfaction I hadn't felt in years. The Linuxes were about to learn. that the man they dismissed was the man who could take their empire apart, brick by brick, line by line.